Your parents loved you. They fed you, clothed you, protected you. But they accidentally installed a poverty program in your brain, not because they were bad people, because they didn't know any better. They taught you what they were taught, and what they were taught was designed to keep you broke. The wealthy teach their children a completely different language about money, a secret curriculum that's never written down but passed from generation to generation. While your parents told you to study hard, get good grades, and find a secure job, wealthy parents were teaching something radically different. Money is a game, and you were never given the rules. Today, that changes. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to learn the 10 lessons wealthy parents teach their children. Lessons that create millionaires before they even enter the workforce. Lessons you were never told. And once you understand them, you'll see exactly why some families stay rich for generations while others struggle paycheck to paycheck forever. Money is a tool. Here's the first thing wealthy parents teach their children that yours probably didn't. Money is not the goal. Money is a tool. Think about how you were raised. Money was probably discussed in whispers. It was the source of arguments. It was scarce, mysterious, almost sacred. You learned to fear it, chase it, hoard it. But wealthy children learn something completely different. Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. They're taught that money is like a hammer. It's neutral. It builds or destroys depending on who holds it. While middle-class families teach children that money is the destination, wealthy families teach that money is just the vehicle. You don't work for money, you make money work for you. This single shift in perspective changes everything. When you see money as a master, you become its slave. Working overtime, sacrificing health, destroying relationships, all to accumulate something you were never taught to use. But when you see money as a tool, suddenly the question changes from how do I get more to how do I use what I have better. This mental shift alone separates the wealthy from everyone else. But there's something even more fundamental that wealthy parents teach. Problems equal profit. While your parents taught you to avoid problems, wealthy parents teach their children to seek them out. Problems are not obstacles, opportunities. Every problem someone has is money waiting to be made. Think about it. Every business that exists, every fortune ever built, started because someone had a problem. Uber exists because getting a taxi was frustrating. Amazon exists because going to stores was inconvenient. Every product you've ever bought solved a problem you had. Find the pain. Wealthy children are taught to look at the world differently. When they see someone complaining, they see dollar signs. When they experience frustration, they see opportunity. When everyone else runs from problems, they run toward them. Your parents probably told you to keep your head down. Don't make waves. Avoid trouble. But wealthy parents say the opposite. The bigger the problem you can solve, the more money you will make. This is why wealthy kids often seem arrogant. They're not afraid of problems. They've been trained to see them as gifts wrapped in frustration. The child who fixes computers for neighbors. The teenager who starts a lawn care business. These aren't just side hustles. They're training grounds for seeing problems as profit. And speaking of training grounds, there's another lesson wealthy parents drill into their children early. Failure is tuition. Your parents probably punished you for failing. A bad grade meant disappointment. A mistake meant shame. You learned that failure was something to hide, to avoid, to fear. Wealthy parents teach the exact opposite. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. They call failure tuition. The price you pay for an education that actually matters. When a wealthy child's business fails, their parents don't console them with comfort. They sit them down and ask, what did you learn? How will you do it differently? When will you try again? Not if, when. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's the pathway to it. This creates a fundamentally different relationship with risk. Poor and middle-class children become adults paralyzed by the fear of failure. They never start businesses, never invest, never take chances because the shame of failing was burned into them. But wealthy children become adults who see failure as feedback. Just data. Information that gets them closer to success. Fail faster, learn quicker. This is why wealthy families often encourage their children to start small businesses as teenagers. not because they expect them to succeed, but because they want them to fail early, fail cheaply, and lose the fear that cripples everyone else. But failure alone doesn't build wealth. There's another skill wealthy parents obsess over: people over grades. Your parents celebrated your grades. Report card day was judgment day, and it meant love and approval. A C meant disappointment. You learned that individual achievement proven by grades was the path to success. Wealthy parents know this is a lie. Your network determines your net worth more than any degree ever will. While you were memorizing formulas, wealthy children were learning to build relationships. They were taught that who you know matters more than what you know. Not because life is unfair, but because that's how business actually works. Think about it. The best jobs aren't posted online. They're filled through connections. The best deals aren't advertised. They happen between people who trust each other. Connections create opportunities. Wealthy parents send their children to elite schools not for the education. The education is the same. They send them for the network. The roommate whose father owns a company. The classmate who will become a senator. The friend who will inherit a fortune. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Meanwhile, you were taught to compete against your classmates instead of collaborate with them, to see peers as rivals instead of future partners. This isolation mindset keeps middle-class people middle-class forever. But networking alone isn't enough. Wealthy parents teach something even more controversial. Rules are flexible. This one might make you uncomfortable. Your parents taught you to follow the rules. Color inside the lines. Do what you're told, question nothing, obey authority. Wealthy parents teach their children something dangerous. Question: rules are written by people. People have agendas, and often those agendas don't include your success. The rules you follow were designed by people who benefit from your obedience. Now I'm not talking about breaking laws. I'm talking about questioning assumptions. The assumption that you need a degree to succeed. The assumption that you should climb the corporate ladder. The assumption that debt is normal. The assumption that retirement at 65 is the goal. Wealthy parents teach their children to ask who made this rule and why, who benefits from me following it. Is there a better way? Question everything always. This is why wealthy people often seem to play by different rules. It's not that they're cheating. They're just not blindly following rules that were never designed to help them succeed. The reasonable man adapts to the world. The unreasonable man persists in adapting the world to himself. All progress depends on the unreasonable man. Your compliance was trained into you. Their questioning was trained into them. And speaking of questioning, there's a sacred belief your parents gave you that wealthy parents actively destroy. Jobs are traps. Your parents dreamed of you getting a good job, stable, secure, benefits, a pension, the holy grail of middle-class aspiration. Wealthy parents see jobs completely differently. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. They teach their children that a job is trading time for money, and time is the one resource you can never get back. When you have a job, you're building someone else's dream, making someone else wealthy, spending your finite hours creating value that mostly goes to shareholders you'll never meet. Time is non-renewable. Wealthy parents teach their children to own, to build systems that generate income while they sleep, to acquire assets, not just paychecks. Rich people buy assets, poor people buy liabilities they think are assets. This doesn't mean jobs are evil. It means they're stepping stones, not destinations. The wealthy use jobs strategically, to learn skills, to build networks, to save capital, but always with an exit plan. Your parents saw a job as security. Wealthy parents see jobs as golden handcuffs, comfortable enough to keep you trapped, never quite enough to set you free. You trade your time for the illusion of security. But there's something even more insidious that keeps people trapped. Debt as leverage. Your parents probably had one rule about debt. Avoid it. Pay off your credit cards. Don't borrow money. Live within your means. Wealthy parents teach something that sounds insane to middle-class ears. Debt can make you rich or keep you poor. It depends how you use it. There are two types of debt: Bad debt buys things that lose value: cars, clothes, vacations, consumer garbage. Good debt buys things that make money: businesses, real estate, investments that generate cash flow. Debt is a tool. Wealthy parents teach their children to use other people's money to build wealth, to leverage debt strategically, to borrow at low rates and invest at higher returns. Think about it. How do you think wealthy people buy apartment buildings and shopping centers? They don't save up for 30 years. They use debt. Strategic, calculated, intelligent debt. The rich use debt to leverage investments and grow cash flows. Meanwhile, your parents taught you that all debt is bad. So you save and scrimp and live small, never understanding that the wealthy are using the same banks to build empires. The only difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they use their time. Debt magnifies your decisions. Bad decisions become disasters. Good decisions become fortunes. But there's another concept wealthy parents teach that determines whether debt destroys or elevates you. Value over hours. Your parents taught you to work hard, put in the hours, show up early, stay late, and eventually, maybe, someone will notice and reward you. Wealthy parents teach something radically different. Value. You're not paid for your time. You're paid for the value you create. And value and time are not the same thing. A surgeon doesn't earn more because they work longer hours than a cashier. They earn more because each hour they work creates exponentially more value. Value, not hours. Wealthy parents obsess over this distinction. They ask their children, how can you create more value in less time? How can you solve bigger problems? How can you make yourself irreplaceable? Stop trading time for money and start trading value for wealth. This is why two people can work the same hours and earn vastly different incomes. One is focused on showing up. The other is focused on showing results. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. Your parents measured work in hours. Wealthy parents measure work in outcomes. This single shift in thinking determines whether you spend your life working harder or working smarter. Transform your time into value. But knowing value matters isn't enough. Wealthy parents teach a specific skill that amplifies value creation. Money talks first. In your house, money talk was probably awkward, shameful even. Your parents never discussed their salaries, never negotiated prices, never talked about investments at the dinner table. Money was a secret. Wealthy parents make money a constant conversation. Financial literacy is not taught in schools because it would create competition. They discuss investments over breakfast, negotiate deals in front of their children, talk openly about assets, liabilities, cash flow, and net worth. By the time wealthy children reach adulthood, they've had thousands of hours of financial education just from listening. Talk about money openly. Meanwhile, you probably reached adulthood financially illiterate, not knowing what a stock was, not understanding how interest compounds, not realizing that your silence about money was keeping you poor. Money is only a tool. It will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. The shame around money is a middle-class disease. It keeps you from negotiating higher salaries, from asking for what you're worth, from understanding where your money actually goes. Wealthy families have no such shame. Money is discussed as casually as the weather, because how can you master something you're afraid to even mention? Your silence about money is the poverty program running in the background. But there's one final lesson that ties everything together: legacy thinking. Your parents probably planned for next month, maybe next year, if they were ambitious, retirement, but that was it. Their thinking stopped at their own lifetime. Wealthy parents think in generations. Legacy. Every decision they make considers not just how it affects them, but how it affects their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. This is called generational thinking, and it changes everything. Plant trees whose shade you will never sit in. That is true wealth. When you think generationally, you stop making short-term decisions. You invest in education that compounds over decades. You build businesses that outlive you. You create systems that generate wealth long after you're gone. Think in generations. This is why wealth concentrates in certain families. It's not just money being passed down. It's a mindset, a way of thinking that spans lifetimes. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Your parents taught you to survive, to get through this week, this month, this year. Wealthy parents teach their children to build, to create structures that outlast them, to think beyond the small window of their own existence, from seed to tree to generations. The poverty mindset is focused on immediate survival. The wealth mindset is focused on eternal impact. You've just learned 10 lessons that wealthy parents teach their children. Lessons about money being a tool, problems being profits, failure being tuition, people being more valuable than grades, rules being flexible, jobs being traps, debt being leverage, value outweighing hours, money talk being normal, and legacy thinking spanning generations. You now know everything. None of this was your fault. You were taught what your parents knew, and they were taught what their parents knew. Generation after generation of financial programming designed to keep you working, consuming, and never questioning why some families thrive while others just survive. But here's the truth that changes everything. You can reprogram your mind with the same lessons wealthy families guard. Now that you know what you were missing, you have a choice. You can continue running the old program, or you can start installing new software today. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your children or the person you'll become doesn't have to inherit your limitations. The cycle can break with you. Right now, today. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more uncomfortable truth coming.